Let's tackle our third set of blending modes, and they fall under the category here, kind of like contrast ones. You got overlay all the way down to hard mix. Let's take a look at those. Now this is our third lesson where we've used blending modes testlab.psd. So if you're following along, I think you got the drill down. We're taking this and we're using this to blend into it, and our results appear up here. We're doing it all through blend right here. Let's start by going to this button and going into the first, overlay. Now what does overlay do? Overlay multiplies or screens the colors depending on the base color. Patterns or colors then kind of overlay, I suppose, the existing pixels, but they try to preserve highlights and shadows of the base color. So this is overlay. And a lot of times an overlay of an image is almost like what it sounds like. You're laying another image over on top of another, and then the color sets would change based on what they are in the base or the blend layer. That's overlay. The next one is soft light. Now this darkens or lightens the colors, but depending on the blend color. The effect is similar to kind of like shining a spotlight on the image. That's the way I look at it. And if I click soft light, you can begin to see that it's softly lighting up some of these areas. Now in this case, because we're just using a gradient, it doesn't really change it that much because that's a neutral gray. But in this case, we are bringing a little bit of color change and shift into here. On this one, you're not really seeing much at all because they're the same image. Hard light is the same as soft light, except it's like shining a harsh light onto the subject. So if we click that one, you can see it begins to get a little bit more intense, and in some areas blows it out. That's hard light. Next one is vivid light. Vivid light burns or dodges the colors by increasing or decreasing the contrast in this way. It's kind of neat. If the blend color, the light source, is lighter than 50% gray, the image is lightened, and it does that by decreasing the contrast. Now, if the blend color is actually darker than 50% gray, the image is darkened by increasing the contrast. So let's check out vivid light. You can see it creates more of a vivid, contrasty look to the image depending on the color system it's working with. Next one is linear light. Now, linear light is a burn dodge too, but it's decreasing or increasing the brightness depending on the blend color, 50% lighter or darker, but it does it by increasing or decreasing the brightness, not the contrast. So it's similar to vivid, except instead of contrast, it's dealing with lightness or brightness of the colors. And it creates a little bit more of an intense effect depending on the colors that you're using. Next one is called pin light, P-I-N. Now this will replace colors depending on blend color. If the blend color is lighter than 50% gray, pixels darker than the blend color are replaced. And pixels lighter than the blend color, this gets interesting, doesn't it, don't change. If the blend color is darker than 50% gray, pixels lighter than the blend color are replaced, and pixels darker than the blend color don't change at all. To me, these blending modes represent a fascinating and interesting area, and we could spend hours talking about the math of how they all work. And trust me, it's important, but in the end, you got to try them. You got to play with them. You got to see how they work. Here's pin light. You can see in the middle one, because of that very, very neutral cyan, almost blows everything out except the highlights. The last one in our set is hard mix. Now this one combines the red and green and blue channel values of the blend color with the base color. It's a very math thing. If the colors exceed the maximum value of 255, they're clipped off to 0. So all blended pixels have a red, green, and blue value of either 0 or 255. So this, in a sense, think of it this way. It's going to change the pixels to primary colors of red, green, and blue, white, or black. It creates a very harsh look to the image. Well, there you go. These are the contrast blending modes. We have 2 more sets to work through. Let's go ahead and reset ourselves here. Let's take hard mix right here, back to pass through, and we're ready to go again. On to the next.